So we're going to do courtroom flicks. Not necessarily courtroom dramas, but courtroom, and actually not even necessarily courtroom. We should probably call it legal flicks. There's lawyers and stuff involved, but it doesn't always take place in a courtroom. Some of them do have courtroom scenes, but I'll shut up and let's get into it. This next episode of Backyard Variety Tour is brought to you by Broken Stick Brew Company, Time and Place. There's always a time and place for Broken Stick. Okay, coming up first, Primal Fear. Primal Fear, I saw a long time ago, 1996. You can see it on Prime Video. It's based on a novel of the same name. It takes place in Chicago, and it has to do with the Roman Catholic Church scandals, let's say, and these disgusting pervert priests. So Richard Gere, in I'd say one of his best performances besides American Gigolo. American Gigolo, I would say definitely his best performance. If someone else has a clear-cut view, something that I'm not thinking of for Gere, but American Gigolo probably is best, and just a stellar film. Paul Schrader, can't go wrong. Okay, Edward Norton, he has a knack for playing these slow characters or split personality characters, like in this one, and like in The Score with De Niro and Brando, and like in Fight Club. So he kind of has a knack for playing these dual personality roles. Primal Fear, Edward Norton, debut. It's his feature film debut. And he's nominated for an Academy Award, Best Supporting Actor. This movie made over 100 mil at the box office worldwide. Norton nominated, won a bunch of awards for his performance, beat out 2,100 other actors for the role. He beat them out. It's almost like a cattle call they had for it. Yeah, so a couple major plot twists here. So about halfway through, major plot twist, and then at the end, major plot twist. And I gotta say, I love the last shot. It's a ballsy last shot. Kind of reminds me of the 1970s, films from the 1970s. So that's Primal Fear. Legal. Getting your legal drama on. No Fear. Broken Stick. Time and Place. There's always a time and place. Okay, next, Social Network. So Prime Video, Stars, Netflix, it's all over the place. Made in 2010, considered by Tarantino and many others to be the best film of the past decade. Probably agree with that. Highly agree. You know, I watch it at least once a year, maybe more. I would say it's just so strong in every angle: acting, writing, directing, lighting, camera work, story, emotion, the impact on the audience, comedy. It's got comedy, drama, and music. Yeah, the music, the score. It won 3 Oscars: the score, editing, and writing. So Aaron Sorkin writes it, Fincher directs it, Trent Reznor and whatever does the score. Editing, I don't know, but you know, quality, high quality movie, great movie. Fincher, one of the all-time best directors ever. And again, you got great performances by everyone involved. I believe Eisenberg was a very convincing and believable Zuckerberg. And Garfield's great too. He had to play the more like subtle, you know, and JT shows that he has actually some acting chops because he doesn't flat out ruin the movie. He's not the best, but he doesn't flat out ruin it. Now, here's the only problem with the movie, and it's the most far-fetched scenario. Stupidest part of the movie, and I really wish they would have fixed it up somehow. And if it's real, then they needed to just do it better because it seems so fake. And it's when they move out to LA, I believe, or whatever, LA or San Fran, Tech Valley or whatever they ended up, Silicon Valley, and they're renting a house and they're ziplining from the chimney into the pool, and it breaks. The chimney breaks and shatters, and there's like a big mess and a bunch of glass and shit breaks, and there's like chaos. And then there's a knock at the door, and it's Justin Timberlake, who Jesse Eisenberg has met already in the movie before. And he knocks on the door, and he's just with some girl, and he's like, "We were just across the street. We saw the place fall apart. Oh my God, my buddy. I can't believe it's you. What are the odds that I just knock on your door and you moved out here?" And it was the biggest load of shit ever. And that's the only problem with the movie. Okay. One of the all-time best legal films, My Cousin Vinny. So it's a comedy from 1992. It bounces in and out of the streaming services. Right now, it's not on any of them, but I know I've seen it on, I believe, Netflix or something before. But usually you can find it on AMC playing, every day of the year. Um, so this is something I call a Sunday type film. I don't know if it's just movies from the 90s that feel this way, but a Sunday type film or a fall autumn type film. That's kind of what it is. That's what I call a Sunday type film when it kind of takes place in fall or autumn. It's got this certain vibe. So like Goodfellas, My Cousin Vinny, believe me, it's not just all Joe Pesci movies, but I think it's 90 movies in general. We'll get to another one actually coming up next called The Firm. This is also a Sunday type movie. I don't know what the quality or essence of these films is. I haven't been able to put my finger on it per se. So, My Cousin Vinny, tale of wrongfully convicted characters from New York who are out of state. That's pretty scary. That's one of my fears, especially in the States. I would never want to be caught for anything, especially wrongfully convicted, especially if you're from, like, it's bad enough. Look how bad they treat their own people. Imagine you're from out of state and wrongfully convicted. So that's very scary, especially in the South where they're just things, let's just say things don't run the way you would want them to. Pesci. So Pesci plays a personal injury lawyer. He's kind of a hack, he's a wannabe. He passed his bar exam after 6 attempts. So he's not necessarily the go-to guy you would want fighting your case of a wrongful conviction in another state. Now, this movie, even though it's a comedy, it's actually praised for its courtroom depictions, and that's by legal professionals. They've actually said that they've done a very good job, so that's interesting. And it's realistic, I would say. This is a realistic film, no matter how kind of silly it is to an extent. Marissa Tomei wins Best Supporting Actress, and for some reason I remember this being amid controversy that she didn't really win. I don't understand where that stems from, because she was very good. She was so good in this. And actually, she's the pillar. She saves the movie. And not only that, her character saves the movie, but not only that, her performance is stellar and top notch. So I don't know where that stems from, that she was like, I think from what I remember, the rumor is she didn't really win, but someone read her name on the card anyways. But like, that's a load of crock. She won. Yeah, both her and Pesci absolutely shine. Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid, he's kind of got a supporting role, and so many great repeated gags when he's in the South there. So the waking up early situation, the train, the chickens, whatever's bothering him waking up, all the different suits he has to wear. First, I think he's wearing a leather jacket, and then he's wearing this like pimped out Halloween costume suit because it was the only store open in town. And then his other like nice suit gets ruined in the mud, blah, blah, blah. All the lies Pesci has to keep up with the judge and the locals. So like all those meetings he has with the judge where he's like keeps telling him, oh no, did you think I said this name? No, I said this name. And then so there's some good repeated gags that go on, and it's just a feel good movie. And man, oh man, it would be such a glorious day driving away from that courthouse after winning that trial and going back to New York where you belong. Okay, another 90s movie, The Firm, Prime Video, 1993. Another autumn type, Sunday type feeling movie. And right away, as soon as the movie starts, the theme song, right from the beginning, picks you up and it never lets you go. It's an awesome, engaging film that carries you right along like you're floating with anticipation. That's what the soundtrack's like. Dun 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 dun. Anyways, really good. Picks you right up, carries you along. Every time you hear that theme song kick in, you're like, oh, shit's happening. And I miss movies like that. It used to be that the theme song really, anytime that Indiana Jones theme song kicked in at a big moment or something, it gets your chills, goosebumps, dun, 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 do something. And then you just kind of knew that it was like a hero's moment. Dun, 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 and it's piano. Dun, dun. Very good. So Sidney Pollack. Sidney Pollack, actor, writer, director, producer. This guy's amazing. I love Sidney Pollack. I love Sidney Pollack films. And I would say this is some of him at his best. It's just shot so 70s style. I love The Firm. So Cruise joins a small but prestigious firm from Chicago to Memphis. And one of the best performances I would say he gives in his career. There's Magnolia. There's some other ones that are great. They're all kind of great to an extent just because he's so good. But this is really like an acting I don't know. I just love him in this movie. I think he plays a realistic, down-to-earth, grounded character. Right. So it's kind of one of his better performances. It's not relying on outlandish stunts. That's kind of what he does now. Is it's like, how big can he go with motorcycles and jet planes and falling from the moon and whatever else he wants to do? Rocky Man. That's what I feel. He's just gonna. Tom Cruise's next thing is like jumping, or maybe someone already did that. Some Red Bull guy do that. He jumped from the fucking moon down to Earth. I don't know. But Tom Cruise, if they haven't done that, Tom Cruise, I'm sure will do something where he'll be like, put me in a cannon and blast me into space. Okay. Ooh, sweating like a pig here. It's getting hot under these lights, isn't it, Seinfeld? No, I'm actually quite all right. Yeah, the theme song. Okay. Oh yeah, so one of my favorite parts of this movie, not only is it a great movie, but there's some funny things to laugh at too. There's a Conan O'Brien lookalike character as one of the villains, and they call him the albino. And it's actually Tobin Bell. So he's an actor who's been around forever. He was the bad bald guy in Saw who wakes up off the ground, Tobin Bell. And they call him the albino in this. And there's a scene where he chases Tom Cruise across Tom Cruise is in like a sky tram on the bottom level, and Tobin Bell's running across the bridge on the top level chasing him. And just the way he's running and the way he looks, I always laugh. He looks like Conan O'Brien. And just the way Tobin Bell runs is so funny, and his hair is all weird. And Dean Norris actually plays the other bad guy who goes on to Breaking Bad, and he was in a bunch of 90s movies as kind of these like thug characters. So another beauty, we lost him this year, Wilford Brimley, one of the best. Just great. Like, I haven't even seen this guy in a ton of movies. I've probably seen him in like 10 movies tops in my life. And just, he's so memorable. I think I remembered him after seeing him in one, just that huge mustache or whatever. He plays a cowboy in something. He's in The Firm. He's in The Thing. He's great. And we just lost him this year. Wilford Brimley. And in this, he's kind of like a fixer. So he's connected to the mob, and he works for this firm, and he fixes all their problems, makes bad things go away. And he's got one of the best lines where he's like, what does he say? He's in a meeting, and they're like, you got nothing to be suspicious about. And he's like, it's my job to be suspicious when there's nothing to be suspicious about. And he's got these tinted glasses, and fucking, this guy's top notch, man. I love it. Wilford. And so he takes care of their dirty, seedy underworld problems, murder, all that shit. He's kind of like the Michael Cohen. He's kind of like a Michael Cohen character. Works within the law firm, takes care of all that shit. Oh yeah, so as the movie, this is a 2.5-hour movie. It's kind of an epic. So as Cruise gets into developing and unraveling kind of the cover up and the scandals, it's like incredible plot gathering of information and stuff, and pulling this team together. And they kind of do it behind the scenes. They give you inklings of what's going to go on and what's going to happen, but they kind of just constantly keep leaving it a surprise, which is really nice. They don't explain what they're going to do. And then you see the plot kind of unravel in front of you of what they do. Yeah. So the gathering of evidence, he brings in his brother. So David Strathairn, great actor, is in jail. And Tom Cruise goes to him for advice, and he says, go see Eddie Lomax, one of the greatest names in film ever. It's Gary Busey, and he's like an ex-cop who's a private eye, and he works with Holly Hunter. And there's this great scene where Holly Hunter is giving Gary Busey oral under his desk, because she's his secretary, whatever, they got a thing going on. And these two are about to anyways. And the two hitmen, Albino and Dean Norris, Conan O'Brien and Dean Norris, walk in, and they don't know that she's down there, and she witnesses the murder. Oh shit, I just gave it away. Anyways, Eddie Lomax gets blown away. There's another pun in there too. So that's just a great movie trickery, having someone under, there's something for that behind the curtain, so to say. And then she gets to take that information and gives it to Tom Cruise, and more plot unraveling. And it's just beautiful filmmaking. And a tricky thing that I haven't seen that too much, and it's such a great idea. Oh yeah, so Holly Hunter is amazing in this movie, okay? Very similar to a performance of, I think is it Bonnie Hunt in Jerry Maguire, to the extent where she's on screen in a supporting kind of cameo role for very little time, but she's just so believable and has so much impact on you, on your emotions. And that's Bonnie Hunt in Jerry Maguire, and that's Holly Hunter in The Firm. Holly Hunter is on screen for less than 6 minutes, 5 minutes and 59 seconds to be exact, and she's nominated for a Best Supporting Actress Oscar for this film, and she's just unreal. She's unreal in this. She just, like, I can't believe she's only on screen in a 2.5 hour movie total. She's only on screen divided throughout it for 6 minutes tops. That's a performance. That's someone who just gave it all in that, gave it all, put it all out there. There's something about like the genre of this movie. I miss these kind of genres. I love these movies from back in the day that are suspenseful, thriller, dramas with mystery. It almost just kind of seems like the whole John Grisham realm, whether you're talking about The Pelican Brief, The Rainmaker, The Firm. There's so many other movies out there, and it does kind of lie with these kind of 70s style directors of Lumet or Pollock or whatever, who are kind of bringing it to the 90s. I love something about those movies. I feel like we don't get those movies anymore. The kind of thriller, suspense, drama, mystery that kind of carries you along. Another actor, Gene Hackman. I think Gene Hackman is probably my all-time favorite actor. Beyond Pacino, beyond De Niro, beyond everyone. I think it's Gene Hackman. There's just never a Gene Hackman role that I was ever like, I don't like him in this. I believe him in everything. Oh, so the mob, there's a heavy mob influence in this movie, and you never see this movie mentioned in mob movie categories. And it easily could be, because they talk about the mob all the time. There's mob characters in it, like Wilford Brimley works for them. He's connected. They even show the mob at the end. Paul Sorvino is in the mob, and the other guy, his name's Jilly in every fucking mob movie, so you know who I'm talking about. He's there too. And I've never seen it on any mob movie list ever, which is incorrect. It should be there, but it also fits into this list of legal. Another great actor, Ed Harris. I like Ed Harris's look in this. I don't know why. He's just got the glasses. He plays this FBI agent. He plays it, stern and top notch. I really like his performance in this. Oh yeah, so no one runs like Tom Cruise. So I think Ben Stiller is one of the few people who actually who does it similar to Tom Cruise and could probably keep up to Tom Cruise in making running look real on film. But his is almost like a joke version or a parody of what Tom Cruise does. But no one runs on film like Tom Cruise. And I think running is a very hard thing to capture and make it look real. So I don't know how he does it. It must be in facial expressions and the way he's like pumping his body, and he must just be giving her or something like that. But he always looks like he's just, and other people can't run on film. It's a weird thing. So an amazing note in this scene. So this movie came out in 93. Mission Impossible 1 with Tom Cruise, another great movie with by De Palma, came out in 96. So there's a dripping in this movie, 93, The Firm. There's a dripping sweat scene where he's up on a roof. His briefcase is down below, and he's got the albino Conan O'Brien looking for him and Wilford Brimley looking for him. And I won't tell you what happens because it's actually another great movie trickery thing that Sidney Pollack does that is just a great story thing. But there is a moment with sweat dropping and hitting the floor. And it would actually reveal to the characters looking for him that Tom Cruise is on the roof. And it works in this film. It's great. And then what they did in Mission Impossible is take that beautiful idea, revamp it, and actually make it even better and something new on its own that's equally as good. So that's the catching the sweat. So he's actually catching it now, so it doesn't drop and hit the sensitive floor, which is just, for a fact that they took that because it's there. It's on camera 3 years before, and you say they took that idea and they revamped it and put it here because it's genius and it works in both films differently. Okay, here's another film, should also be on some mob movie lists, and it's not, and it's called Find Me Guilty, and it actually stars Vin Diesel, and I would say it's probably Vin Diesel's best role besides, I haven't seen The Iron Giant, but I'm sure that's pretty good for a voice role. And to be honest, I'll accept The Fast and the Furious as like Vin Diesel. Oh, Saving Private Ryan is probably his best acting role because Spielberg was like, shut the fuck up, say the lines, just be here kind of thing. Don't put on any fucking machismo bullshit. Okay, you're here to work. That's probably kind of more. So Saving Private Ryan, Fast and the Furious. And then I would say this. Yeah, other than that, you're not going to get any good Vin Diesel. So this is the best way to use him, and they did it well. So Find Me Guilty. It's a legal comedy. This actually is a courtroom one. The whole thing almost takes place in a courtroom other than a few small scenes. It's a comedy from 2006. You can see it on Prime Video. Find Me Guilty on Prime Video. Sidney Lumet is the director. Another great old school director. Has been around forever. And again, best Vin Diesel performance ever, I would say, because he actually has to flex some acting chops, some character and acting chops. I think he put on maybe a fake belly and a wig. And I saw his body language in this. He tried to do something and he put a little something into it. And I can appreciate that. Because he really had nowhere else to go. There's no time to be like, let's get out of here and chop and use swords and then drive fast cars. Let's go. You know, like there's no room for that. He's stuck in this courtroom. He's got to perform as an actor. He's got nowhere to go, no big action scenes, nothing. I would say this is an underrated mobster story. It's based on a true story. This guy, Jackie DiNarcio, he got sent away. He refused to rat on his friends. He was kind of like a blue collar, mid-level mobster, I guess, or low time to mid-level. And he got sent away. He didn't rat. And this is kind of a story that it's based on a true story of a guy who never ratted, true gangster, did time, kept his mouth shut in the late 80s. I think it is something, maybe he was involved with the Philly mob. Basically, his charisma got 250 gangsters off the hook in the longest criminal trial in American history. So there's lots of recognizable faces from mob movies, past and present. You know, you can tell it was either filmed in New York or New Jersey or something. So there's a lot of those actors kicking about that they can pick up these kind of B or supporting faces to throw in the back, people you recognize from all the other mob movies. It was shot quickly and cheaply on high-def video in almost one location. Snappy dialogue, very snappy dialogue, which you got to have in a legal drama, especially if you're in a one-location legal drama with Vin Diesel, you better have some snappy dialogue. And very little visual energy. So that's why they also need the snappy dialogue. That's what a courtroom drama basically is. You got to have snappy dialogue because there's not going to be much visual energy. And it didn't make any money at the box office. It actually lost money, but I would say this is a good movie. Okay, next we have Liar, Liar. Another legal comedy, another legal film. It's a comedy. I don't have the movie here. What, 97 or something like that? 94? I'm not sure, but he was on the string of Jim Carrey runs where he did like Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Liar, Liar, or something like that, all in one. And they all made over $100 million at the box office, blah, blah, blah. I would say that this is one of the most polished early comedies of Jim Carrey. A lot of his other stuff was kind of slapsticky, and now this one did too, but they took less liberties with that. It's a very polished film. I would say one of Jim Carrey's less elastic performances and more of a subdued performance of Carrey's comedy. You know, there's scenes, even though he beats himself up in some scenes and stuff like that, that has the outlandish slapstick physical comedy in the film, but I would say it's still more of a subdued performance. A lot of emotion. He does it with a lot of looks in this, where he's like feeling his kid turns his back on him and stuff, and he's like, oh, my kid hates me and all that. You know, it's a lot more looks and emotion. Oh, so one thing you gotta love is Jim Carrey's claw. The claw versus Carrie Elwes. The claw will get you. Look out for the claw. The courtroom scene where the couple denies having an affair. And then they play the audio. They play an audio sex tape? They play an audio tape, or first Carrie just gets him to admit it, I guess, by just badgering. And the guy's like, all right, I hopped her brains out. I don't know why. Maybe because he just snaps, like even that weirdo with the guy's weird haircut. He did a good job in that scene. And maybe I'm thinking of something else where they're like, oh, you're so much better. And he's like, how does he know that's not the husband? And he's like, oh, you're so much better than my husband. Oh. I think that scene might be in there too. And you gotta love the change of heart. You know, the change of heart that Jim Carrey feels when he realizes that he got the wrong person off the hook. He got the bad guy off the hook, this terrible mother. And just the look on his face, he kind of like sinks inside himself. It's very good. Okay, next, To Kill a Mockingbird. This is going to be on everyone's list, but I just wanted to go over it briefly because I just watched it recently and I was surprised. Recently, before all this nonsense, I'd say about a year ago, and I was surprised how true it rang today. And basically, To Kill a Mockingbird, 3 Oscars, made in 1962, based on an award-winning novel. Atticus Finch is labeled #1 hero of all time in Hollywood cinema by the American Film Institute. And this movie is still relevant today. You know, the issues that they're dealing with. Oscar-winning Gregory Peck is Atticus Finch. And it's basically about core American values: tolerant, fair, and a firm believer in, and in this case, also an upholder of the rules laid down by the state, which, a lot of the time is they like to talk about how good they're doing and how good they're being, but a lot of the time it's just optics. So it's much better. We need to see action, that you care about people. I would say that America has really taken very few steps in action and maybe have only taken steps in optics of words still setting people apart, dividing a nation essentially. And we're experiencing that full throttle. So not much has changed since To Kill a Mockingbird, that's supposed to be this shining light to open up everyone's minds. And it's set in a segregated Alabama in the 1930s. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? That's scarier than My Cousin Vinny, Alabama, or wherever they are in the 90s. Anyways, you got Robert Duvall as Spooky Boo Radley, somewhat of a fairy tale monster, clashing with real world racism, racial tension, still present today, as we can tell by the last 4 years, and most specifically the last 6 months. Hopefully someday people will be more like Atticus. Atticus. Oh, wrong movie? Moving on. Legal drama. So JFK. I have to watch this movie at least once a year. And for some reason, I usually watch it in November. Oddly enough, that's the month JFK was assassinated. I don't know why I always watched in November. It's not like I chose to do it during that month, but it just always feels right. The election's going on, it just feels like a good time to be filled with conspiracy. So this movie is full of cameos. Like, you can't even list everyone. The cameos are nonstop. Actors you've seen everywhere, big, small, everyone is in this movie. You got Newman from Seinfeld, and he actually plays a character named Newman. And they say Newman. Well, Costner asks him a question. Newman, what do you got? And everyone's smoking, and it's always these smoky, like, low lighting filled rooms. Oliver Stone. So what Oliver Stone has created here is something somewhat of a paranoid magnum opus that goes down a conspiracy rabbit hole, and goddamn it, is it entertaining, swaying, and believable. And it's basically asking the question, who really killed 35? And it's strange that so much time has passed, 50 years, and we're only at President 46 now. Who killed 35? We're at 46, 50 years. Died in the 60s? The one thing, it's come out from, all the books, and it's come out from all the mobsters. And it's hilarious that you got all these mobsters who turned informants or turned rats, or even some who didn't, but now they have their own podcast. They just did their time, I guess. Now they have their own podcast, which is hilarious. So many mobsters have their own podcast, and that's how you know the mob has gone to shit, because it's not secretive anymore. Everybody's talking. They're not just talking about crimes, which they are still on the podcast, old crimes, but they're so out there. John Gotti ruined everything by making the mob public. And basically, yeah, JFK, he was assassinated for many things. One of the layers was because he was banging Marilyn Monroe, who was also banging a mobster. It was like Sam Giancana, but then also Franzisi's dad, Sonny Franzisi, I think wasn't he banging Marilyn Monroe too? And so there's all that power play going on. But then also the mob helped apparently get the Kennedys into office. And then the Kennedys started going against the mob because they got a bunch of pressure against them, I guess, from the government. Because Roosevelt before that always kept denying that there was a mob. And yeah, and then Bobby Kennedy was jealous about something, so he started going after the mob, and that's why they just fucking killed them all. The mob can giveth and taketh away. Joe Pesci plays an absolute freak in this. Like, he's so creepy to look at. His eyebrows, and when they're wearing those old, like, British style wigs and stuff like that, it's just, for the gay porn film that they're making, it's just insanity. And Him and Tommy Lee Jones are both fucking creeps in this. Creeps. Oh yeah, and then you got the lovable Ed Asner as an abusive drunk beating up Jack Lemmon.
What do you do when you got a scene with Jack Lemmon? You make lemonade.
The lovable Ed Asner as an abusive drunk. Another beauty, Gary Oldman, another role that he just blends right into, transforms into, 100% believe him that he's Oswald. I don't know how this guy does it. He plays from playing he goes from playing like a white boy poser Jamaican with dreads in true, like this guy just transforms into anything. It's unbelievable. Donald Sutherland with an amazing kind of Mr. X type cameo as like a defunct, CIA operative or something like that, giving Costner the secrets on the side, meeting in a park bench in Washington, D.C. with the monument and stuff in the back, and just beautiful shots, all that stuff that you think of when you want to think of conspiracies going on. And this film just kind of feeds all those things for you. And basically where this becomes a full-blown legal drama, there's da-da-da-da-da along the way, little splices of them in their back rooms talking about the case and everything. But basically where this becomes a full-blown legal drama, I think it's the last 30 minutes or so, once they actually take these guys to court and try and prosecute them. Tried to prosecute Tommy Lee Jones and Joe Pesci and all these crazy whoever else. And everyone behind the assassination. There's straight up a 30-minute courtroom scene. Taking all the film's evidence that they gathered and basically jamming it down your throat in one of the best, I would say, 30-minute blast montages to an extent of just taking everything. And then Costner, I love this line when he's playing the Zapruder film, and he goes back and to the left, back and to the left, back and to the left. It's just it's and I would say between this and Field of Dreams, probably the best Costner roles, gotta say. Next we have A Time to Kill. So this is a 1996 Crave TV, stars. It was a box office smash, it made like $150 million worldwide on a $40 million budget. So it's a bit heavy-handed, but it's high quality, heavy-handed and powerful. So you got Joel Schumacher directing. He's done a bunch of big Hollywood films. Guy knows what he's doing. He takes chances. He takes risks. He's an interesting director and filmmaker to watch. And I would say this is one of the sweatiest movies of all time, right next to Body Heat. It's right up there with Body Heat. People are so sweaty. I think the first scene where you meet Ashley Judd, they might as well just pour a whole bucket of water all over her. She looks so sweaty. Yeah, so it takes place in bumfuck Mississippi. Pretty sure that's a city. And you got Matthew McConaughey playing Jake Brigance, a modern-day Atticus Finch to an extent, even based on his wardrobe and look and kind of demeanor. He's by the people, for the people, of the people kind of thing. The way he dresses and carries himself looks like an honest, family man. Donald Sutherland popping up again with another kind of Mr. X type cameo, except this he's like a disbarred lawyer who comes in and he provides like advice on the side kind of thing. So a very similar role there. I think this is the 90s too, and JFK is the 90s. I guess Donald Sutherland was just at his career at that point that he's the cameo guy. Bring him in to play the secret. Yeah, we need a secret side guy to come in and give some... So that was his wheelhouse then. Basically, you have two of the biggest actors at the time in Ashley Judd and Sandra Bullock, two of the hottest and biggest female stars of the 90s, I would say. They seem to be in everything. Nicky Katt is hilarious in this. He's in it for the first 15 minutes because his death essentially sets the movie off. He plays this dirty Alabama douchebag, and he does it well. Gonna throw that. Chris Cooper, another great actor. And it's a good movie to hate Kevin Spacey in. Kevin Spacey's a piece of shit in this movie, and you can actually detest him and be like, yeah, great. Even though he gives a good performance still as an actor. But if you feel like hating him, this is a good one to do it because he's an asshole in it. I think this was one of the first movies when I saw it the first time that actually kind of introduced me to the KKK and how scary that whole situation was, because they didn't really hold back in this. Red Foreman, you dumbass, plays the Grand Master of the KKK, and at one point they throw a Molotov cocktail on him and he just burns alive, and you hear he's running around on fire. Ah! It's awesome. You dumbass. Samuel L. Jackson, just a powerful performance, and this movie's just got that good old-fashioned Southern comfort. After McConaughey's house burns down and he thinks his dog's dead at the beginning of the scene, and Oliver Platt comes in. He's like, your dog's dead, Jake. It's over. The case is over. And he's like, no, it's not, Oliver. And then Max, the dog, comes running out of the bush to kind of say that if the dog's alive, that means the case is alive. It's a metaphor. And who doesn't love a dog, someone crying because they lost their dog, think their dog's dead. Everyone thinks the dog's dead. And then the dog comes out of the bushes running and jumps on you and gives you a hug. And it's like, that boy, good boy, Max, good boy. Who doesn't love that? Homeward Bound, every other fucking, you can put that in any fucking movie. I don't even care if there's not a dog in the movie, throw that scene in and I'll be like, fuck yeah. So it's a very memorable line here. Free Carly, free Carly, free Carly. And another great Samuel L. Jackson line when he just keeps getting pushed. He's in the hot seat. He keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed. Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. And it's definitely a Hollywood ending because the black guy actually gets off. So they let him go. They would never do that, as we've just witnessed in the past 6 months or whatever. And all we can do is hope that fucking shit changes, man. Yeah, they would never let him off the hook, no matter if they agreed with the insanity plea or like when he killed those guys to claim insanity because they raped his daughter or whatever. Like I said, very heavy-handed film. But they do it proper. And even beyond the shitty Hollywood ending, not the shitty Hollywood ending, I'm glad Samuel L. Jackson survives in it. I just don't believe it, that they would set him free. I don't believe that they would free Carl Lee. So that's why it's a great Hollywood ending. But it does have a feel good. Just beyond that is another, 2-minute scene, feel good, hopeful ending. Samuel L. Jackson's family's having a picnic, and McConaughey, there's no other white people there, but McConaughey and his family show up with his daughter and his wife. And they kind of accept and they say, I thought our kids could hang out. So it's kind of like a hopeful ending that, hopefully some change is on the horizon, that they can bring their two worlds together and everybody can get along in the South, in the deep South. Okay, obviously there's a bunch of movies. Everyone could bring up 12 Angry Men, all these other Courtroom, A Few Good Men. These are not the movies. These are popular. And I know some in here that I have a problem with, but I didn't see them on too many lists. And that's why they don't tell me that they're popular enough. People should be seeing these movies, in my opinion. So there's a couple more that I wanted to get to before putting out this video, and I just didn't have the chance. But obviously a good John Grisham tear with The Firm. I think it's the best one. But you also have The Rainmaker, which is decent. Matt Damon and Danny DeVito. It's okay. Pelican Brief, Denzel and Julia Roberts. It's okay. The Client is the top-notch one that I didn't go through, that I haven't seen in a long time, but I'm thinking about renting it on YouTube just because I can't find it anywhere else and I really want to see it. So Tommy Lee Jones, Brad Renfro, who else? I think is Susan Sarandon in it. And I just remember it being very dark and good. Michael Clayton, just another stellar one done by the Gilroy, one of the Gilroys. Kind of a cool director, low-key film. No huge payoffs or anything like that. At the end, just kind of a steady quality film of, say, story that you don't normally see, not your typical cookie cutter. And again, Michael Clayton kind of plays like Michael Cohen, kind of like a fixer. He goes in and takes care of problems for rich people. Another amazing one, The Hurricane. So many great parts. Liev Schreiber, they shot some of this in Canada because the people were from Toronto who helped them out. Dan Hedaya, I think, plays a corrupt detective in a good role to hate him in. Denzel's amazing in it. There's so many iconic scenes when he's losing his mind, when he's in the hole and he's like, who are you talking to? He's like, I'm talking to you. You can't take my mind. Yes, I will take your mind. He's losing his mind. There's so many good things. And it's just an amazing story. There's one part that I love. I absolutely love it. And he's on the phone with the team from Canada who's helping him. And he's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? He's like, you're there and I'm here. What are we going to do? Or something like that. And they're like, no, fuck that, Rube. Look out your window. And he's like, what? He looks out the cell windows, the bars across. And he's like, what am I looking at? They're like, you see that blinking light in the apartment all the way across the way? He's like, yeah, I see it. He's like, that's us. And they're in the window fucking waving and screaming. They're like, we're here for you, Rube. We're fucking here. We're taking you home. And that just must be like, when you're Rube in that moment, you just must be like overwashed just goosebumps and shit. And you're just like, fuck, these people are serious. They care about me. And it's a stellar moment. I think they show the photo at the end when he got out of prison and he's raising the belt and shit, and like wrongfully convicted. Another black man for so many years. His life thrown away. He was on top of the world. Fucking song written about him, Bob Dylan. So ongoing theme, it seems to be with the United States. Surprise, surprise. And another one, Aaron Brockovich. I would say this is probably one of the strongest films ever made, period, not just legal. This movie just grabs me by the balls and fucking takes me with it. Julia Roberts is amazing in this. She's hot. Her performance is stellar. Her character, her story, her everything. Her emoting, like I feel everything. The Soderbergh is top notch. If this story doesn't impact you, Aaron Brockovich, like if the movie doesn't impact you on multiple levels throughout, you're crazy. You're fucking crazy. Because it's quite possibly one of the most perfect films ever made. I think that's it, everyone. So these are kind of your more obscure or lesser known legal dramas that I hope you at least check out. And I know I probably spoiled a few things through them just to give you some info, but I mean, these movies have all been out forever. So if you haven't seen them, that's your loss, but it's time to go check them out now. Have a good rest of your day.